Hi, it's Clover with Watson Realty, and I'm sitting here with John Weaver with Cornerstone Building Analysis, and this is our video series with our professional home inspector, John Weaver, who I've done business with for many, many years, and know that John is a consummate professional, and that's why he's here to answer some of these questions. Today's topic really is about Chinese drywall. We want to talk about this disclosure. A lot of myths behind Chinese drywall, John, so tell me a little bit about, or tell us what is Chinese drywall and why is it important to have a home inspector look for it?
Okay, China's kind of taken a bad rap here because we're calling it Chinese drywall. It's really sulfuric drywall. The sulfur content in the gypsum's too high. Now, it started with a company out of China, but that is actually what transitioned into some U.S. drywall because drywall is recycled. So it's a drywall issue in general. The problem is, and we're getting into chemistry here, sulfur in the drywall is off-gassing in the high humidity climate of Florida. Sulfur is having a chemical reaction with copper. That's not good. Your electrical wiring is copper. Key components to your air conditioning system are copper. There could be some health side effects, there's an odor or whatnot, but the bottom line here is your electrical and your AC equipment are disintegrating with Chinese drywall. Sometimes there's an odor, sometimes there's not. In an inspection for Chinese drywall, we want to try to find a manufacturer's label. If it's from China, probably you should consider having a lab test regardless. There are websites out there that list some of the manufacturers. I don't know that that's exhaustive. I don't know that I would trust that. It's a good start. If you see a drywall label and that company is on the list, well then you can pretty much assume that that's going to be the case. But if they're not, I don't know that I would stop there. As a part of our normal home inspection, we're looking for the side effects of sulfuric drywall, Chinese drywall. And by that I mean that we're going to check some of the branch wiring in the house, some of the electrical connections and so on and so forth to look for oxidation. We're going to open up the air conditioner, look for oxidation inside the coil of the air handler, the components in there, and try to rule out the symptoms of Chinese drywall. The peak of the use of Chinese drywall was in 2006. Anything from 2004 to 2007-8 is pretty much suspect. Newer construction, if your house is older than that, probably you're okay. But we're going to look just to be sure, because you never know if somebody made an addition, if somebody renovated, remodeled, took out a ceiling, maybe a repair from moisture or something like that, and happened to do that repair with Chinese drywall.
So is this something that you could find, like let's say you did it, that's a great point. So I put an addition on in my house and I went to Home Depot and I brought drywall. Could it have had?
Could have had, yes.
High sulfuric content?
Yes.
Is there a manufacturer that was more of a culprit than others?
There are several, and a Google search would help you in that and finding that information, and most of them Chinese, some German companies and whatnot. If you see National Gypsum, U.S. Gypsum, a lot of the American companies, you're a little safer with that. But there was recycled drywall, so I mean we're not going to just assume that it's okay.
Let me ask you something. Is that something that you would be comfortable enough to list for me, that I could provide on a link below that people could see for manufacturers who the drywall is?
Sure, we could do that. We could get you that information.
Okay, so we're going to have all the manufacturers that were suspect of providing high sulfuric drywall provided below for you for your own peace of mind, and also John is there to inspect it to see if it's in there. Now let's talk about if it's found. Now what?
Well, lab testing is expensive, and in my opinion, it's not a great test. I use it to rule out. If we found a piece of sheetrock that was suspect, and you really, really like this piece of property, you really want this house, and this could be a make it or break it decision, then you might want to use a lab test to rule out that specific piece. It involves we need permission. We need to take a physical sample of that drywall, ship it down to the lab, and they're basically, and forgive me guys, I'm not a scientist, but layman's term, they're going to take this drywall and put it in a glorified pressure cooker with sensors on it, put it under pressure, see if it off-gasses this high sulfur content, and then label it positive or negative, basically.
So there's no way to basically say, hey, this east side of the house has Chinese drywall on it compared to the west side. Is there any way to do that?
That's real difficult because we can't, unfinished walls, you cannot see the manufacturer's labels on the back or on the side of the sheetrock. So taking that physical sample, in theory, I could take a sample and literally 6 inches away, one is positive, one is negative, because you have two different boards, which is why I don't like the test. It's not an air test, it's a physical sample test, and you have to actually get the piece that is positive or negative. So in a home, you got multiple boards of gypsum all throughout the house. The lab test is something that we use to rule out. So we're looking for the symptoms of Chinese drywall. How does that wiring look? Let's try to find a manufacturer's label, and that's all part of the normal home inspection with our company.
Is there any way to know how long it takes? I mean, obviously, okay, so let's say you're buying a house that's built in 2004, all right? And now we're 2011. Would Chinese drywall have taken effect by now?
Yeah, it's pretty quick.
Okay,
pretty quick.
so when you say pretty quick, is there okay, so I bought a brand new house 3 years ago.
Yes.
You'd
years,
see it,
yeah,
the lines would start being degraded.
Start to see some a black oxidation on the electrical lines, and generally the AC coil is the first thing to fail.
Because it's drawing in all the
Because it's drawing
sulfur.
acidic air right over that coil, as often as it's running. So that's the funnel, so to speak, of the problem.
Wow, very good stuff. John, thank you so much for being part of this.
Yeah,
This
thank
is a big part of what I'm trying to provide for you is having professionals talk about the very things that we deal with on a daily basis here on a much more detailed level. Now, again, if you'd like more information about John's services with Cornerstone Building Analysis, his link is provided below should you need a home inspection. Now, you also do insurance inspections.
Yep,
you do all
we
sorts
sure
of
do.
types of inspections. So we're going to go ahead and talk. The next thing is we're going to be talking about some of the licensure and accreditations that some of these inspectors claim to have or should have if you're going to choose a company to do an inspection. That's going to be on the next video here coming right up. And you've made a great choice when dealing with Cliff Clover. I want to thank you so much for being part of this video series. Should you have any questions or concerns, feel free to call me direct at 321-229-5890. And you can search for more properties at cliffclover.com or send me an email at cliff@cliffclover.com if you'd like more videos or more information. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.